All right, looks like we are live for our Saturday live stream today. Just going to give a couple moments here, see if we have people start joining in. We have had some very interesting weather today. It was sunny, and then it rained, and then it was sunny, and then it rained some more, and then it was sunny some more, and it's looking like it's going to rain again here in just a few minutes. Awesome! Looks like we're getting some people tuning in here. So I just want to start by saying hello. My name is Kyle. I'm a park interpretive specialist with California State Parks. And as I mentioned, today I am out at Azalea State Natural Reserve. So this is we're going to kind of continue our series of lesser known state parks. We'll take a little walk here through Azalea and just kind of spend some time talking about what this place is. I'd also like to spend some time today talking about what is the difference between like a state park, a state natural reserve, a state vehicular area. What can you do in these different places? And so I'll be talking a little bit about that, taking a little bit of a walk, and just checking out this beautiful place. We've been getting rain like all day, so maybe we'll see some mushrooms and things like that. I just wanted to start it off with telling you kind of what this place is named after. So this is Azalea State Natural Reserve. So this is a picture of azaleas here. Azaleas are a type of rhododendron, so they have these kind of palmate leaves with like 5 different leaves kind of coming off of them, and then when they bloom, they've got these beautiful, massive flowers. And so this reserve is named after azaleas, which is a type of rhododendron. So as we're walking through the park here today on our little trail, keep an eye out for those rhododendrons and see if we see anything blooming. We've had a really warm winter, and so we're not quite in spring. These things shouldn't quite be blooming yet, but we will see what we can see. So we're going to go ahead and start moving down the trail this way. I think we're going to loop right around. And I will be honest, I have not taken this trail before, so I am not entirely sure what we will encounter here. So a little bit of an exploration adventure today, and let's see what we can see. See some people tuning in here. Hello, Grandma Na. Thanks for joining. See Sandra's here with us today. Excellent. Texas weather, crazy freezing temperature for days. That is quite the opposite here. We've had kind of a warm winter. We've had kind of a cold couple past days with the rain coming in and just kind of off and on storming. And then today's just been really weird. Lots of sun, then rain, then sun, then rain. Excellent. So I was saying that the park that I'm in today is called Azalea State Natural Reserve. So that's another type of state park that some of you might not be so familiar with, is a state natural reserve. And so what is the basic difference between a state park and a state natural reserve is that a state park provides quite a bit of infrastructure. You know, sometimes you'll have campgrounds, you'll almost always have bathrooms, sometimes you'll have a visitor center, things like that. There's infrastructure at state parks. But here at a state natural reserve, there is very little to no infrastructure at these parks. So as I'm talking about this, I am crossing over a covert. So you've got, this is about the extent of infrastructure you might find in a park like this. So this is just a small tube going under the trail to allow the water to pass through. These are called coverts. So as we're walking through this park, we will see, next to no infrastructure like we would normally see in a state park. And we've got some kind of signs of spring going on here. Check it out. We've got some buds coming up. I'm not quite sure what type of plant this is, but some stuff starting to come out. Awesome. Some more people saying hello from Jersey Shore. Freezing rain right now. Hello from Sacramento. Awesome. So good to see you all tuning in here. So there are a few other type of state parks that we have, some of which are kind of self-explanatory and some of which are not quite so straightforward. So, this being a state natural reserve, again, it's kind of more of a nature space. The opposite of that, you have a state vehicular recreation area. And now those areas are predominantly designed for people to be able to recreate with their vehicles, as the name suggests. So those are like off-highway vehicle parks where you'll find dirt bikes or ATVs and dune buggies, usually in those vehicular recreation areas. Kind of a step down from that is a state recreation area. So those areas are intended for recreation, but not necessarily motorized recreation. So you might have kayaking or other types of boating, biking encouraged and things like that, but not necessarily, dirt bikes and ATVs and those sort of things. So we also have state beaches, beaches instead of a state park. Also usually have a little bit of infrastructure. And then one that I found that I had not actually known about before is that some places are called park properties. And these seem like they kind of serve a number of different purposes. They are either property that has been purchased by the park that's not yet open for public visitation. And it can also sometimes be properties that are owned by the state of California that are operated through a regional park system. So I found a park that was operated by like Sacramento County Parks, but the land was owned by California State Parks. So park property seems like it's kind of a fluctuating term applied to a couple of different things that don't really fall into any other place. Oh, I just started to get a couple little raindrops on me here. Saw a comment from Sandra. The trail looks kind of scary. Like something could jump out at any moment from these corners. And it is kind of a tight and narrow trail. And this park does have kind of a lot of invasive species. It's something that I've noticed about it. But there's a lot of plants that aren't necessarily natural to this area, and grow here. Here is one great example. This is English ivy here. This is a really big invasive species that grows pretty pervasively in a lot of different places. And one of the problems with English ivy is that it will grow up things. So you can see it kind of starting to do that here. And as it grows up these things, it'll start to choke them out, take up the sunlight that would nurture these plants, and make it harder for them to grow new leaves and things like that. So English ivy can be a really problematic invasive. And right next to it, we've got another big invasive here. This is called Pompous Grass. You can see another one a little bit further in the back left there. It's got these really kind of serrated, these are really, really sharp leaves coming off. And this stuff is super invasive, super thick, and hard to get through. So these plants can spread their seeds pretty easily through these kind of big pompous looking things sticking up into the air. So a lot of the time we see those, they look fun to kind of carry around, but we're actually helping spread this invasive when we're playing with these cool pom-pom sort of things. So I saw a comment here from Marnin Robbins. What kind of azaleas are there? Do you know what native insects rely on our native azaleas? That is a great question, Marnin, and I only know a little bit about azaleas. I looked into a little bit on how to identify them. I know they are important for pollinators, and definitely important for that relationship with native species. And it looked like it was some kind of bug or insect, not some of our typical pollinators like butterflies, maybe flies. I'm not sure, Marnin. Do you know? Or does anybody else who's in the program know? What pollinators, what is the native relationship between our native azaleas and a native pollinator? It's a great question. I'll do a little bit more research if we don't have the answer by the end of the program, and I will make sure to fill in our blanks. We're seeing a lot of that invasive English ivy here. You can see here how it's kind of taken over this tree, starting to grow up it. And I have not actually noticed any rhododendrons yet, or any azaleas. I am not an expert on them, so I may have walked right past them and not noticed them. It's a beautiful park, though. So this is one of the parks kind of included in this series of parks that don't necessarily get a lot of visitation. And, up here in the North Coast Redwoods District, we have so many magnificent, epic redwood parks, these, giant, towering, hundreds of thousands of year old trees, and some totally magnificent places. And, so parks like this don't necessarily get quite as much visitation, but they're still beautiful, they're still worth visiting. And there's all kinds of amazing things you can find in these sort of places. And when those summer months come and maybe some of those bigger redwood parks are really busy and you want to get away from those crowds, think about coming to visit one of these parks. Azalea, Little River, Smith Redwoods. There's a handful of parks that not a lot of people know about. So I did see something that started to bloom down here, and I got a comment. I don't think the azaleas have leafed out yet. And that would totally make sense, because I'm seeing a lot of things with a lot of sticks, a lot of branches, but not a whole lot of leaves here yet. So I did see something down here. It looks like it's going to start blooming. I wanted to show you all this real quick. I think this is salal. Not 100% sure, but you can see starting to get some buds on there. A little bit of flowers going on. Some early bloomers happening here. So yeah, it doesn't look like we're seeing any azaleas yet, but we are seeing some mushrooms going on here. Getting some really good rain these past couple of days, so hopefully we'll see some more mushrooms. So I want to put this out to all of you since so many people are joining. Thank you, Robin, for correcting me. Not salal. Didn't quite look like salal. Those leaves were not leathery enough. Yes, tons and tons of beautiful ferns. So this park has lots and lots of sword fern growing. This is one of those sword ferns right here. Lots of other sword ferns off in the distance, and you can always identify sword fern. If you look at the little leaflets here, look really close in, try and get that a little bit steady. You can see these kinds of points they have. If I can get in on there. Oh my goodness, my fingers are in the way. That kind of hilt, the little point on the end of it there. So each of its little leaflets kind of look like a sword. You get that sword fern. Yes, I see Griff commenting we need to get at this English ivy in this park. Definitely. So hopefully we'll have some volunteer events here soon and get some pulling out some of this English ivy. So if you're up in this area and you want to get involved with some of our invasive species removal, it is something that we do through state parks. You can check out our Facebook page, check out our events tab, and whenever we have volunteer events for invasive species pulls or some restoration events, we'll post those there, and it's an easy way to get involved with helping take care of our parks. Awesome. So quite a few of you have joined since we started. So I know that we're not necessarily seeing azaleas out here today. So I did bring a picture here with me. So you can kind of see when they're in bloom, they've got these beautiful, brilliant flowers, kind of bell-shaped flowers in a row, as Robin is commenting here. So that's kind of what these flowers look like. And they have these sort of, almost looks like a hand, these palmate leaves. So you have kind of 5 leaves coming out in a kind of a circular motion. There's not a whole lot of redwoods in this area, but there's a lot of Douglas fir, a lot of other pine, Sitka spruce growing in this area. Oh, there's a really good example of this English ivy. Looks like this is turning into an invasive species walk. So here's a really good example of that English ivy. So you can see it kind of started to take off on the bottom of this tree here. And look at the way it's just grown all the way up this tree. And it looks like this tree may have already been dead. It's missing its top up there. But if this tree had been alive, that English ivy would still do the same thing. Grow all the way up this tree and start to suffocate out the leaves and things like that, make it harder for it to grow. Oh, looks like we've got a big need for trail work here. We've got a downed tree in the middle of the trail. So that's pretty incredible. You never know what you're going to come across. Like I said, I didn't pre-hike this trail. I just wanted to come out here and have a little bit of an adventure with you all and see what we could see. So look at these massive root system going up this tree. So this is pretty cool. It looks like we had, I think this is a Sitka spruce here, and it looks like some other plant, I'm not quite sure what this is, but used the tree as like scaffolding, right? It grew up it. It's got these roots kind of going out, or these branches, these climbing up around the outside of it, and then it started to kind of branch out up at the top of the tree. Unfortunate for it that the tree has fallen down. It doesn't have that support anymore. But wow, you just never know what you're going to find when you're spending some time in the park. It's always worth exploring, always worth checking out. And it's just a beautiful day out here. Despite being a little wet, getting some rain, it's been incredible. All right. Well, I think that I've taken you deep enough into this trail here so far. I'll come back and answer any of those questions here in a little bit, anything I might have missed, and get a little bit more information on azaleas. So that's a really good question, Martin. I don't know what their native species, that their pollinator is. So just a beautiful day at one of our kind of lesser known parks. I encourage you all to kind of keep exploring. Check out some places where you maybe haven't gone before, and you might find some downed trees on the trail or maybe some other exciting things in the park. I am going to switch over to Instagram and do the rest of the walk live there. So if anybody would like to take the rest of our walk here, if you have an Instagram account, you can go ahead and follow us there. And I'll also post both videos on our YouTube page. Oh my goodness! You know why there's no birds out, Mandalorian Laura? Is because it just started raining a lot. So, you know, you never know what you're going to find out here in the forest. And today it's a downed tree and some rain. Thank you again all so much for joining me out here today. Be sure to stay tuned for our Facebook Lives and lots of other great content coming on our Facebook. Be sure to stay tuned next Saturday, February 20th. We will be having our next series of the Centennial interviews with Humboldt Redwoods. So be sure to tune in for that. We're going to be interviewing Sam Hodder of Save the Redwoods League. So that's going to be a great interview. Be sure to stay tuned. It's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning to 10:30. Centennial interview with Sam Hodder of Save the Redwoods League for Humboldt Redwoods State Park. So check that out. Thank you all so much again for staying tuned with us and all of your support all the time. We really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Ah, Nina, you saw a hawk up in the tops of the trees. Yes, always look up. You never know what you're going to see. I completely missed that. It's awesome that you were keeping a good eye on it. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.